Hello and welcome to the holiday episode for 2025 of Double Feature Reviews. I'm Libby.
I'm David. Happy holidays, everyone.
And today we're talking about A Christmas Story and The Long Day Closes. David, have you seen either of these films before?
I've seen A Christmas Story, like everyone else in the world, quite a few times, really. I'm sure I must have, as a pretty young person, tried to sit down and watch the whole movie. But I've seen it so much more in clips and bits and pieces of TV that, like a lot of people, it's basically a pastiche. I had not seen The Long Day Closes, although I've seen quite a few other Terrence Davies films. And yeah, they all follow some similar traits and patterns about there's this boy and he's gay and he has a weird relationship with his family, etc. So I wasn't shocked by the content I saw on screen.
Yeah, I also have seen A Christmas Story several times, mostly not in bits and pieces. Mostly I just sit down and watch the whole thing. We had the VHS when I was a kid, and it wasn't like an official tradition, but, you know, generally in December at some point, A Christmas Story would be watched occasionally by one person, and then other people would sort of filter in and be like, oh, that's what's going on. I'll watch this. And I had never heard of The Long Day Closes until you said, hey, we should pair it with this.
It's not a well-known film. It's an obscure, artsy movie. There's kind of no way around it. It's very popular among the upper echelons of the British film criticism community, and they are often devoted patrons of it.
So we are continuing with last year's trend of Christmas movies of doing one film that is a Christmas classic and one film that no one has ever heard of and is extremely artsy and British.
That's true. Is Scenes of a Sexual Nature extremely artsy? That's a complimentary way to describe that film, but I'm not saying you're wrong. Extremely indie. Good point.
Yes.
Good point. Yes.
Have I seen any other Terrence Davies films?
Oh, I doubt it. His other most well-known film is Distant Voices, Still Lives.
Nope.
But there's way too much domestic abuse, I think, for you to have chosen to watch that movie for any particular reason. He did make the House of Mirth, the adaptation of the Edith Wharton novels. And I know you love your period.
Is that like from
dramas.
The 80s?
It's from the 90s. It's got Dan Aykroyd and Gillian Anderson in it, who is in X-Files.
Okay.
So that one.
I've seen the poster for it.
Yeah, you're probably aware. He also did The Deep Blue Sea with Rachel Weisz.
Have heard the name. And
I mean, I could list all of Terrence Davies' movies. He did the Cynthia Nixon, Emily Dickinson biopic.
I thought about watching that.
It's so much fun and a barrel of laughs. And he also did Benediction, the biography of Siegfried Sassoon and various Owens.
Sounds like a bummer. Damn, does
that one is less of a bummer because
really?
the World War I part and the greatest poet of the 20th century dying are over more or less at the beginning, and then it's mostly about how he had a bunch of hot sex with Ivor Novello, and then Ivor Novello dumped him because Ivor Novello is trash. It's mostly about how Ivor Novello is trash.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, maybe we should double feature that with an actual Ivor Novello movie.
I mean, we would double feature it with Gosford Park, because it heavily features a person playing Ivor Novello and playing all of his songs, and there's like an old lady who makes a bunch of biting jokes.
There's a cat. I just saw 3 cats run past the window.
There's some major cat action going on.
Succession. Can you see anything?
I see there's one cat running away.
Okay. Yeah. It was a black and white cat and then a tabby. This might get cut. But earlier this morning, before too early for me to wake you up, I saw the black and white cat, two cats, one all black, one all white. They were walking, and the white cat was maybe half a foot behind the black cat. And they were walking, single file. And the black cat would stop and look around. I'm like, are you following me? And the white cat would just stand there. And they'd walk a little bit further, and the black cat would stop and turn around and say, stop following me. So the local cat action is now the theme of this podcast. Sorry, we're not going to talk about the Christmas movies.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure that Terrence Davies saw Gosford Park and was like, I know about fancy British people and Ivor Novello. I'm going to make my own movie. And this time he's gay. I think that's what happened.
Did Ivor Novello actually have relationships with men?
That is definitely what the film implies.
Okay, but is that what actually happened in real life?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the word on the street, or at least in the back streets.
And I'm going to make you go first because you did this pairing. What is your title for this double feature for both of these movies together?
Yeah, it's not an easy series to title. I think that's fair.
Oh, I had a very easy time.
Okay, great, good. I went with Remember Yearning. Both of these films are most noticeably memory films. And this is a genre which we can see has presence both in popcorn movies and in auteur films. Films that are about the idea of how do you remember your childhood and how is the memory of the past different from the real past, and the experience of trying to express the experience of memory on film. I think this is even a bigger focus for The Long Day Closes. It's really an art project about trying to recreate the feeling of remembering something. Although that yearning as an influence on the plot is more evident in A Christmas Story, because A Christmas Story has an evident plot,
yes,
which may be somewhat missing in The Long Day Closes.
I've titled this double feature, All I Want for Christmas is Proof of My Masculinity. And I want you all to really appreciate that, because it was almost All I Want for Christmas is a Penis. And that, we could have lived in that world, but I decided we didn't have to.
I mean, that version is more accurate and more explicit, so I'm glad you've included both. Yes, the traditional literary analysis of our toy gun representing our protagonist's emergence into adulthood could not be less subtle in its application. How can you, maybe for our audience, make the connection to the second film more clear?
Maybe.
Yeah, I understand that's a delicate matter.
Yeah, so full disclosure, due to our schedules, we actually watched both of these films close to a week ago, and A Long Day Closes, in its utter effervescence, has somewhat slipped out of my brain.
Sure.
So one, he's gay.
That's right.
There's some longing gay looks going on. I think Ralphie, the protagonist of Christmas Story, if we're going with All I Want for Christmas is a Penis, he really wants his own penis.
That's right.
Bud wants somebody else's penis.
That's right.
And when we're not doing sort of longing glances at men, we're doing different type of longing glances at his older brothers, and like their maturity, their ability to do stuff without mom's permission, their having girlfriends, they're like knowing about things, they can have conversations that Bud can't participate in, and that is a different sense of masculinity.
And Bud definitely seems to see a connection from the fact that his siblings, although they're older than him, are allowed, and it's natural for them in society to have independent lives without being harassed. And he is sort of, I think, realizing how frustrated he is, because the fact that he's not interested in having a girlfriend means he doesn't have an excuse to go out and meet people. And the whole way that his society is set up has excluded him in this way. I mean, he's also suffering a lot of harassment because of his apparently effeminate impression that he's giving to people, and so he wants that to stop, but he's struggling with it.
Do you think this would pair well with Tea and Sympathy?
Yes, I do think it would pair well with Tea and Sympathy, and I think we see a similar story here. But the story of The Long Day Closes is so focused on Bud's loneliness and isolation, and how there is no Deborah Carr to come and save him or give him any direction.
Maybe it's a prequel. Maybe this guy grows up into Tom.
And moves to Massachusetts.
And becomes not actually gay, is the other thing.
And becomes not actually gay, completely changes his accent, but he does kind of look similar.
I don't know. They were both doing transatlantic. Deborah and John.
That's true.
Deborah's Scottish.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the father figure is totally absent from The Long Day Closes. Terence Davies, his real father died when he was 6, and his real father was extremely abusive and violent. And a lot of Terence Davies' earlier films are very focused on the abuse that he suffered and that his family suffered. And The Long Day Closes is supposed to be Terence Davies' happy movie about all of the not completely and totally horrible experience he had in his childhood. So his father is basically totally edited out of it. But that does work for our Tea and Sympathy lineup, because we meet, of course, the father in Tea and Sympathy. So it could work. So to help you Remember A Christmas Story, and perhaps imagine The Long Day Closes. I can just give a short summary here at the beginning. So, A Christmas Summary is
A Christmas summary.
A Christmas Summary. A Christmas Summary. Not a terrible description of what the film's about, but yes. A Christmas Story is a family period piece comedy that's shot from a child's eye perspective in an intimate and tactile style. The story is that a narrator recounts the joys and sorrows of childhood Christmas in the industrial heart of mid-century America. In the first sequence, 9-year-old Ralphie takes their annual holiday trip to check out the latest gifts for sale in the local department store. And Ralphie becomes so obsessed with the cowboy-sponsored Red Ryder Carbine Action 200-shot range model air rifle with a compass in the stock and a thing that tells time that he sees.
This thing that tells time.
And this thing that tells time. That's this thing that tells time.
Also, one more correction, not cowboy-sponsored. No actual cowboys were involved.
Cowboy-themed. He sneaks an ad for it into his mother's magazine, but accidentally leaves it on his father's bed. In the final sequence, after Ralphie almost shoots his eye out with his father's toy gun Christmas gift, the neighbor's unkept hounds steal the family turkey. So they go to a Chinese restaurant and have their dinner decapitated in front of them, then return home to look at the pretty snow. The Long Day Closes is a personal drama. It's also shot from a child's eye perspective in a muted and subjective style, where the camera is very much trying to be expressionistic. It's an expressionistic retelling of the joys and sorrows of childhood in the industrial heart of mid-century England. In the first scene, after the sounds of Nat King Cole's Stardust help introduce us to 12-year-old Bud's rainy Liverpool street, he looks with awakening desire at a shirtless bricklayer working in the sun. In the final sequence, which is a bit complicated because the cinematography and storytelling becomes increasingly experimental as it goes, when Bud sees his friend Albie going to the movies without him, he goes down to cry in the coal cellar, while Orson Welles and Miss Havisham narrate about suffering alone. Then we see Albie telling Bud about the cowboy outfit and toy gun he got for Christmas. And Bud tells Albie that the stars of the night sky are actually dead, but appear to shine brightly.
Yeah, kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas!
I think we're led to believe that this is Bud trying to express his own inner death, despite the fact that he appears to be a kind of normal boy, but actually he's very sad.
How's Terrence doing now? Is he okay now?
He is doing okay now. He got to make a lot of movies, which seem to be somewhat therapeutic and have made people have respect for the challenges that he went through.
Is he still alive?
He is still alive, but he's an older person now. But yeah, he's pretty bitter, honestly. He has after he completed all of his many biopics, and before he really started focusing on literary adaptations, he made a documentary about life in Liverpool where he is giving his own first-person perspective. So if you want to know what Terrence Davies feels like now, you may want to check out Of Time and City, where he expresses that he has a lot of love for Liverpool and the community, but still feels really hurt and really abandoned by his faith. A lot of the film of Long Day Closes is about his devout Catholicism and sort of the hoping that he would find some respite in religion from the pain and isolation that he was suffering. But that was very much how it did not work out for him.
Yeah, certain flavors of Catholicism were actually very into pain and isolation.
Yeah, fair enough.
So let's not talk about that for a bit. Let's focus on Christmas Story, which is much more fun. This is a 1983 film, which was way later than I thought it was. I had to look up the date for this podcast. If you'd asked me when it was filmed, I would have said like 1959.
Well, that means they did a good job.
It was way earlier. I mean, it's not set in the 50s. It's set in like 1939.
We're going to get into that, but I'm not sure it's true.
It is directed by Bob Clark and written by Bob Clark, Lee Brown, and Gene Shepard, based on short stories, semi-autobiographical short stories by Gene Shepard. Gene Shepard also provides the narration as adult Ralphie. Young Ralphie Parker is played by Peter Billingsley, with Melinda Dillon as mom, Darren McGavin as the old man, because we can't say dad, Ian Petrella as his younger brother, Randy, Teddy Moore as his teacher, Miss Shields, and Zach Ward as local bully Scott Farkas. Not Scott, Scott, which is what I had heard every time I saw the film, but apparently his name is Scut, Scott Farkas.
So yeah, this really is a Gene Shepherd project. These are supposed to be more or less accurate retellings of Gene Shepherd's childhood growing up in not Homan, but Hammond, Indiana, which is a small town in the suburbs of Chicago. And Gene Shepherd originally came to fame as a radio DJ and storyteller. And these stories initially were part of his long-form radio show that was pretty big in the northeastern United States. He was based in New York. Kind of a Prairie Home Companion style radio show that he produced with a little bit more adult edge.
None of the kids know what Prairie Home Companion is, David.
Well, I don't think they make this type of thing anymore, so I think we're going to have to settle for Prairie Home Companion. He was encouraged to turn this radio show into writing by Shel Silverstein, who was a huge fan of his radio show and said, you should publish these. And he started publishing them as individual stories in Playboy magazine, and they were very, very well received there. And then they were combined together into the book In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash, which was published in 1966. And that was a successful book and led to a series of TV movies. Part of the reason that A Christmas Story is so successful is that this is not their first attempt at making this movie. All of these characters, the Gene Shepherd narration mixed in with the vignettes, this format had been tested many, many times in the series of TV films that were originally produced based on the book. And the TV films are not bad, honestly. They're pretty good.
Were there any crossover cast?
There's no crossover cast, but there is some
Gene Shepherd.
There's Gene Shepherd. That's fair enough. Gene Shepherd is the crossover cast. The Great American 4th of July and Other Disasters from 1982 did star James Broderick as the old man and Matt Dillon as Ralphie. And then the 1988 Ollie Hopnoodle's Haven of Bliss had Jerry O'Connell as Ralphie. So there are some names involved, mostly as child performers. And a lot of the stories and vignettes that are told in Christmas Story were originally told in these TV movies. So again, this is their second bite at the apple there. The Great American 4th of July and Other Disasters has the knee-high lamp with his mom breaking it, and his mom says you're going to shoot your eye out.
It is not a knee-high lamp, David.
Well, that is the name. The lamp that we're seeing is based on the logo for the real soft drink company Knee High Soda, now called RC Cola. And they really did have their logo be a woman with her leg out, so you could see how it was knee high. The bottles were a little bit taller than normal bottles, so that was kind of the joke.
It's much higher than the knee.
Well, on the bottles that they would print, the woman was wearing a skirt, which came up to not far above the knee. But in the corporate signage that Gene Shepherd would have seen, because the knee-high bottling plant was in this region of the world, in the corporate signs for the factory and the corporate offices, they had the full leg on there, I guess, for the entertainment of the people who had to walk past them on their way to work every day.
Make these horny people want to drink soda.
That was basically the idea.
It probably worked.
So to someone from the mid-century when knee-high soda was still popular, they would immediately recognize that as being from the knee-high soda. In the Great American 4th of July and Other Disasters, when we originally see the same story of the lamp, they also make it more clear just how salacious of a gift this. There's no lamp. They didn't actually do this lamp. Gene Shepherd made that up, but they don't quite make it clear how it works in the movie, because the way as they show it, you have the lamp with the leg and the shade on top, and then to turn the lamp on and off, you reach up into the skirt, shall we say, between the imaginary other leg of the lamp and flick something to turn the switch. So yeah, that version is, for the TV movie, they actually made it even more salacious. I think they said, this is for the kids. Maybe we got to tone that down a little bit. So yeah. This is not their first attempt at making these stories. Bob Clark, the director, had just gotten off his very financially successful Porky's film, classic teen sex comedy, and had been trying for 10 years to collaborate with Gene Shepard to get this movie done. The studio was like, no one is going to go watch this boring mid-century Midwestern Christmas movie. So he really, really had to fight for it. And it was only after the huge financial success of Porky's that he got the permission to do this movie. And only got $3 million for it, which isn't a lot in 1983. Peter Billingsley was the first person to audition for Ralphie, but Bob Clark said it can't be the first person. He was great. So then he auditioned 8,000 more children.
That's a lot of children.
And then at the end said, actually, I think Peter Billingsley was way better than everybody else. Peter Billingsley was something of a star at the time. He had been in a lot of movies. He was host of a talk show, so he was considered the young genius actor of his era. The film was shot from January to March of 1983. It was filmed mostly in Ontario, as people from Canada are very eager for us to be reminded of. They thought about maybe filming it in the real city of Homan, but then they went there and they were like, wow, this is really ugly. You know, all the parts in all the Gene Shepard books where he talks about how his hometown was ugly. It actually is ugly.
True.
This is not charming. We need to find somewhere charming.
Yeah,
so
and also a lot more snow in Toronto, I'm guessing.
Well,
is that real snow? I assume that was
yes,
real snow.
yes. It was shot in various parts of Ontario, although the house scenes were shot in Cleveland, Ohio. So people
the
from
interiors
and the exteriors of the outside house neighborhood scenes, but the school scenes, the parade scenes, all the town scenes were shot in Ontario. So people from Cleveland will tell you it's in a Cleveland movie, and people from Canada will tell you it's a Canada movie. And yeah, I think it's worth noting that this film is very much part of the Canadian Christmas tradition as it is in the United States. Bob Clark has had a long relationship with the Canadian film scene and often has a lot of Canadian actors, so it won multiple Genie Awards and stuff. So Canadians will tell you this is a Canadian movie. I guess we might want to mention now the ongoing controversy about what year is this movie set in. Because there are a lot of clues about when this movie is set is, and the trick of it is, to help clear up this controversy, is that it doesn't make sense. And there is no year in which this movie could be set in. The real Gene Shepard went to elementary school from 1927 to 1933. And there are some things in the movie which are clearly from that time. For example, his brother Randy is constantly playing with a toy Zeppelin. And after 1937 in the Hindenburg disaster, nobody was playing with any toy Zeppelins.
Miss Shields is also in it, like a more early 30s style of hair and dress.
There are several things in the film that do point to the year 1939. There's a news story on one of the newspapers about the scuttling of the Admiral Graf Spee battleship, the German ship, which happened in 1939. There's a lot of Wizard of Oz stuff around. There's one calendar that we see that shows December 1st being on a Friday, and that was in 1939. But then there's another one which shows that Christmas was on Sunday, so that would be 1938. And we hear them listening onto the radio, Bing Crosby's Santa Claus is Coming to Town. That didn't come out till 1943, when Gene Shepard would have been in the military fighting the war from 1942 to 1944. We see a Frankenstein mask, which was played by Glenn Strange, who didn't play it till 1944. And we see chattering teeth on the teacher's death. That wasn't until 1949. So I think we have to just conclude, look, it's a memory film. It's a pastiche, and these events are meant to have occurred between 1925 and 1955, and they could really be anywhere inside. So that's the answer to the puzzle. It doesn't make any sense. I think, the studio did put a huge effort into bringing in a lot of real 50s props, real 50s items, and I think that is a huge part of what makes the film success. Like you said, it looks like it's from the 50s. It looks like it's real.
Also, the film quality isn't that great.
That's fair enough.
There are definitely films from the 80s that look nicer.
It's a $3 million budget, and it does show. I think that's very fair. They, of course, had a lot of kids on set, so they tried to make it kind of fun for the kids. They made a real slide at Santa's workshop for the kids to play in, so they could go down the slide all day. And Bob Clark says most of the kids did actually have a really, really good time.
Okay, they were not all crying.
No, he said they went pretty well.
The weird Santa.
Bob Clark has a cameo in the film. He is the Swede that gets to admire the lamp and says, "What is that?" Originally, he did his Swede with a Swedish accent, as would make sense. But then he said, I think it'd be funnier if the Swede has a Southern accent. That's funny. A Swedish guy with a Southern accent. Also,
is he canonically Swedish, or was that just sort of a character note for Bob?
I think the idea is that, of course, they're in the Midwest, so there are lots of people from Northern and Eastern Europe. And he was supposed to be a relatively recent migrant from Northern Europe. Okay. But I think maybe Bob Clark's Swedish accent is not impeccable. His Southern accent isn't perfect, but it's maybe was better than his Swedish one. I don't know. Yeah,
I got none of that from his performance.
I think he just went with Southern. And Gene Shepard has a cameo in the film. Of course, he is the guy who's first in line for Santa when they go to see Santa, and tells Ralphie he has to stand at the back. And then he says that I was standing at the end of the line. I guess the joke being that he is standing on both ends of the line, as a matter of fact. The dad's cursing while he was fixing the furnace below in the basement, that was totally improvised, and he had lots and lots of fun making up fake curse words. Whereas Ralphie's cursing when he's beating up Scott was totally scripted. And Peter Billingsley said it was extremely difficult to memorize like 2 pages of made up curse words. Because
they didn't trust Peter to make up curse words?
I think they were worried that he would accidentally curse for real, and they were trying to...
Just cut that part.
Yeah, I think his mom was on set, perhaps, and didn't want to swallow that Lifebuoy soap.
Okay.
I am not sure how that came out. I think, to be fair, Ralphie's fake cursing is one of people's absolute favorite parts of this movie. If there's a decent number of people that if you say, what is your favorite part, they're going to say that. So I think they just thought of a lot of fun fake curse words and wanted to get it just right. Peter Billingsley was a very dedicated actor, and so he spent a lot of time to memorize it word for word. The dad also improvised the line, "He looks like a deranged Easter bunny." Another big favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised that was improv. Was there supposed to be another line there, or
so.
just nothing goes there?
I don't think so. I think he was supposed to just say, "Do you want to be wearing that? You can take it off." And then he thought of something funny to say. The other big improvised moment is that in the final scene at the Chinese restaurant, Melinda, who was playing the mom, did not know that the duck would have its face on it. And that everyone else was in on it, and then they hid that from Melinda. So that is Melinda's very genuine reaction to being served. I found that
very relatable.
Yes.
The horrified laughing. She does think it's very funny, and also horrible.
So she did not know there was going to be a head there. She does not know it was going to be chopped up. When she screams when he swings the knife, that is a real scream.
Was the line, "It's smiling at me," in the script?
I think, yes. I think that line was given to the dad. Because the same line is in the TV movies. Okay. But, everyone else was in on it, just not Melinda.
Melinda hadn't watched the TV movies.
That's what we're learning.
Okay. Do your research, Melinda. Then you don't get surprised by a duck being beheaded in front of you at work.
The film was released in November of 1983, and it was a hit. It made $20 million in its box office run, which is maybe doesn't sound a huge amount in absolute terms, but that's on a $3 million budget. That's a 530% return. And after the first release concluded, the theaters turned it off, and then when Christmas came around, everyone told their friends, "Oh, you know it's a good Christmas movie. Go watch A Christmas Story." So the
first release was like less than 6 weeks.
Yes, they didn't. The studio did not believe in this movie.
Okay,
they did not believe in it. So they told the theaters it was going to be played out and told them not to rent more. And then when Christmas,
they were like, "This Christmas movie, no one's going to go see this Christmas movie at Christmas."
That's what they said. So then they had to do a re-release at Christmas. So it's possible that $20 million does not include the re-release money. So it could have been doing even better. So yeah, this movie was really successful and had a really positive audience response right away. And so they played it through New Year's. And it had a good critical response. It has an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert was really positive and felt like it had Norman Rockwell sensibilities and Mad Magazine sensibilities and was a really nice marriage of both. And of course, it has gone on to become an incredibly successful film. Maybe the most famous movie we've done on our podcast. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it's up there with anything else. It has a 7.9 on IMDb with 177,000 votes. Very respectable numbers. And there were a big run of sequels. They made My Summer Story, which is supposed to be the direct sequel, more or less, but they didn't bring in any of the same actors, and they renamed it to It Runs in the Family at the last second, trying to just make it where no one would know that it was a sequel.
Okay.
And it wasn't actually that good, and so it didn't do very well. And then there was...
Same production team?
Yes. Okay. Bob Clark was also the director. And, it's got Mary Steenburgen in it. It's got Rieran Culkin in it.
The less popular Culkin.
I don't recommend it. If they also made a direct to VHS sequel, A Christmas Story 2, not very good. There was A Christmas Story the musical, the Broadway show, which was then shown as a live performance on Fox broadcast with Matthew Broderick and Jane Krakowski and Maya Rudolph. And
is Maya Rudolph the teacher?
Maya Rudolph is the mom. Jane Krakowski is the teacher. Yeah, Sexy Teacher is where we went with that version of the musical.
I don't think that's what the film needed.
That's what the film needed. And yeah, the musical got okay initial reception, but once it was shown to the broader audience on television, was not. It's not a great musical. The music is not good. Then in 2022, Peter Billingsley returned to the franchise, and he made the dreaded term legacy sequel as A Christmas Story Christmas, which I believe was on Netflix, might have been HBO Max, and that one got better reviews.
Does he play the dad?
He plays himself. He's now the dad as an adult dad.
This is grown-up
It's set
Ralphie.
in modern. It's one of the current year style legacy sequels where we sort of have a similar story told in the current year.
Does he still have his BB gun?
No. No mention of BB guns because that would be too controversial and dangerous, and BB guns are not as socially acceptable now. Now the present that the son wants is a sled, some fancy modeled sled, because that's sort of dangerous now. Now that's what moms are like, maybe you shouldn't get a sled because that's too dangerous.
Is that what moms think is dangerous now?
Well, they're definitely not getting you a BB gun. BB gun's right out. That's bad. BB guns are not only dangerous, they're immoral now, so we can't have that in our movie. Yeah, I mean, all of these movies, they have similar stories. They don't all have the same structure of narration that's as elegant.
Are they all based on Gene Shepard stories?
They're all based on Gene Shepard stories. Not A Christmas Story Christmas. That's a new story by Peter Billingsley. And they do continue, the ethic. The movie is not pure light entertainment. It has a moral, which appears to be that, like, you need to fight against bullies. Rage against the dying of the furnace, something along those lines. Don't give up. And, all of these do try to connect with that. But, yeah, if you like A Christmas Story and you really enjoy it, don't watch the sequels. Go watch the TV movies that were made before. They're actually have Gene Shepard. They're elegant, they're clever, they're fun. Their production values aren't as high, but you'd probably like those. And they're free on YouTube and not hard to find. Of course, not only were there all these sequels, but it helped to inspire a very successful and long-running TV show, The Wonder Years, which also is about a young boy, and then there's the adult version of him narrating. You quoted it in our Michael Clayton episode when you said, "You're probably wondering how I got in this situation." That's from The Wonder Years, and it was always a sort of tongue-in-cheek reference to A Christmas Story, and Peter Billingsley was a guest star in the final episode. And it's a huge cultural touchstone. There's a museum in Cleveland dedicated to the production of the film. In Hammond, Indiana, they have a festival every year, and there's a statue of the kid with his tongue on the pole. So people love it. Final, personal note is that the year after the release of this movie, the real Peter Billingsley did convince his parents to give him a BB gun for Christmas. Okay. And he said that during the production of the film, he was thinking, great. So this is how I get my parents to give me a BB gun, and it did work. So
he didn't get to play with one on set.
That's a great point. That's a very good point. Yeah, the Daisy Air Rifles, who makes it after the release of this, started reselling the Red Ryder BB guns, which they'd gone long out of print manufacture, but they're still available now. It's their number one selling line. And I guess I should point out that Peter Billingsley went on to become a really successful movie producer. He produced the Iron Man film, so technically Peter Billingsley invented the MCU. We'll go with that for a second.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah. So he's that guy.
Great use of money.
So when I did our plot introductions, I gave the slightly tortured description of Christmas Story as a family period piece comedy. Yeah. Traditionally, this film is categorized as a nostalgic comedy. And it's, I personally, I'm not sure that I think that's the right word, although I can understand what it's coming from. Do you think that this is a nostalgic movie about how life was so great and so simple back in the olden days of the 40s? I don't think that's what it is. I think it's a very effective memory film.
I think it is that, and it's being a little tongue-in-cheek about it.
Okay. So you think it is are you just saying that it's marketed to those people, or that is actually part of the message of the film?
Message of the film is a fairly generous interpretation. I think they were using that in the marketing. They were pulling the nostalgia strings for marketing purposes.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think there are...
my dad loved this movie, and this is very much like he had a not too dissimilar childhood. I don't think he ever got a gun for Christmas, but maybe he really wanted one.
Yeah, it does. This movie does bring me your dad's energy a lot to it, so that makes sense. I guess I'm just saying it doesn't. It's pretty happy to point out the painful parts of living in that time, and it doesn't.
I mean, does no mention of World War II anywhere.
That's true. That's true. It's maybe because it wasn't set in that year, but I think that's pretty fair.
I mean, it could have been.
I'm not meaning to say it's not sanitizing history on that broader scale. I mean, I think the biggest way that we see that is that the schools in Chicago were not integrated at this time. And the communities were not, I mean, schools in Chicago were not integrated until the middle of the 80s. That's what actually happened.
So, after this movie was
After
made.
this movie was made, yes. And the film shows the community as fully integrated and they're black and white kids playing together and everything. And that definitely was not happening. I mean, that's a tricky situation. I mean, you want everybody to be able to enjoy the movie for what it is and not have to re-suffer trauma just from watching it. But you know, you're right. It doesn't show the historical atrocities, local or international. That is true. That is true. I really liked how the film was produced in this 40s style. You see a lot of 40s style wipes and like speed changes in the comedic moments. We get some fun 2-camera bits, which reminds me a lot more of a comedy film made in 1938 or 1943. And I think that's partially to appeal to the people looking to relive that, but also sets the tone and, you know, is an entertaining way to make a movie and is more expressive. They kind of use that as an opportunity to be freed from absolute naturalism.
Yeah, it kind of seems like Ralphie is directing the movie of his own life as he is experiencing it. Which
is what's happening.
Right.
Gene Shepard is writing the script for this movie as he is experiencing it. So it all checks out. I mean, Gene Shepard was not directing the movie, and as a matter of fact, once the film got into heavy production, Bob Clark and Gene Shepard did not get along entirely because Gene Shepard kept trying to tell the actors what to do, and Bob Clark banned Gene Shepard from the set, etc., etc. So he was not directing the movie, but he tried to direct part of it.
Okay. Yeah, so if he was banned from the set, that does kind of answer my question. I was curious if they did the narration first or the photography first.
That's a really good question.
Because there's a lot of, you know, interplay between like where you can see kid Ralphie reacting to thoughts that adult Ralphie is having. So I wasn't sure if they did narration first and Peter was reacting to that. If maybe they had Gene on set reading the lines that he then
I don't think Gene is on set reading the lines. Okay. I think the narration is just scripted, and Ralphie is reacting to the script, and then Gene Shepard is going to have to stick to the script.
Okay, and he has to match the timing. Okay,
I think that's what happened, but it's an interesting question. I could see it going the other way. That might be easier from a certain perspective. Yeah, they don't normally play audio like that on script. Although we're going to see when we get to the long day closes that sometimes they do. The initial plot really device is about this Christmas theme that Ralphie does. For me, the most hard to understand part of the movie when I first watched it as a young child is, what is a theme?
Yeah.
What's a theme?
I think it's an essay.
It's an essay. Of course, it's just an essay. Well, you know, theme is not a bad word for an essay. That is what the point of an essay is. It's supposed to have a thesis, a theme. So maybe we should go back to saying theme. I don't know. But I was definitely thrown by that originally. And I think it's very telling. You can tell that this script was written by a writer remembering their own childhood, in that the child's plan is that he's going to write this really compelling essay because he considers himself this great creative writer, and this is finally his opportunity to express himself. So I believe that really did happen to Gene Shepard.
So you think Gene was making fun of himself when he wrote the essay that Ralphie wrote?
I think so, yes. I think very much so. He's imagining, I would believe that he always thought of himself as something of a writer, as he turned out to be, and so we're sort of seeing his honest review of his early work.
I don't think a football is a very good Christmas present.
That's a thesis. You can't say that
that's not the thesis,
that's
though.
True. That's fair. That's fair. It contributes well to the thesis. It is well structured, even if its style could be improved.
You're extremely generous, my dear.
Did you ever think that you wrote the best school essay ever, and the teacher was gonna become amazed by your creative output?
No, I had dysgraphia, and I really disliked all of my writing. The teachers always tell you, like, when you finish writing the in-class essay as part of the exam, reread it and correct any mistakes. it was so painful for me to reread my own writing because I made so many, mainly like word deletion. I just like wouldn't write some of the words. And sometimes I got weird with spelling. And I was like, I would rather get a bad grade than have to re-experience my own writing. So I never thought this essay is going to get me the Christmas present I want.
Okay, all right.
I just had really nice parents who would basically... I also never asked for a gun. That helped.
Good point. Yeah, I don't think I ever asked for a BB gun for Christmas. I did.
Your parents would have given you one.
Maybe.
At a certain age.
Fair enough. You're right.
How old do you think you would have had to be to get a BB gun?
Well, my parents, maybe they did, and if so, I'm not trying to erase them, but my parents didn't really give me Christmas gifts. Our family does not give Christmas gifts to each other.
Because it's too pagan?
Something like that, yes. Because that would have distracted from what Christmas is really about, remembering the sacrifice of Jesus.
I thought it was the birth. You guys have a different holiday for that.
Yeah, well, we don't like that one. That one's too pagan.
Easter's too pagan?
That one's right out.
Okay, so we used December 25th, Jesus' birthday, also the one day of the year that Jesus Christ was definitely not born.
Well, I'm not going to get into
You guys used that one to think about his death.
I'll skip the theology of it, but
okay.
Something along those lines. Also, like, we didn't want to give each other gifts, and they're better at coming up with gifts. I had to figure out some way to buy a gift for my mom. I did not want to do that. So no, we skipped it. So it would have been my grandparents. And, I think if my parents were okay with it, I could have gotten one, maybe not at 9, but maybe at 9. It's conceivable. As a teenager, I bought for myself quite a few airsoft guns and had a big airsoft guns shooting all my friends around in the yard.
Those are way less dangerous.
They are way less dangerous. And we had masks and everything. Yeah. So, yes. I did have an experience where I did think I wrote a really great school project. And in 7th grade... we had our short story competition, and they said you could write any type of short story. So I was like, okay, you know what, I will. And I wrote an adaptation of an Irish fairy tale, and was very excited. I was like, I think the teacher's going to be pretty impressed with this. But then that week was the week that my family said, we're not going to public school anymore, and we're going to start doing homeschooling. So I never got feedback on that assignment. So the one assignment I ever did in school that I was genuinely curious if the teacher thought it was good, to this day I have absolutely no idea. I'm sure they would have given me a B+ or something and said it's fine. But yeah, I don't know. Never know. I have to track her down. I don't think I have the original essay.
Also, your teacher might be dead now. Just
maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. She was in her early 30s. I don't think she's dead.
Okay.
The teacher does get to impress the teacher, Ralphie gives her a fruit basket.
Yes.
And that's like this mind-blowing gift for the teacher. I mean, it is bigger than the other gifts. It definitely is more...
I don't think it's mind-blowing for her. I think the reason she keeps staring is because he keeps standing there.
Okay.
I think she's surprised at this gift. And then he moves out of the way and just keeps staring at her, smiling inanely. And that's why she's like, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
She seems impressed with it when he first puts it on her desk. She goes, oh.
I think she likes it.
Is that what you would want? Because you did some work as a teacher. Is that what you would want as a teacher for
Christmas?
Yeah,
I mean, I was a substitute teacher, so I was seeing different kids every day. So I never got any Christmas presents from the teacher. I also don't think I ever gave my teachers any Christmas presents.
I feel like I did in, first grade. And by 2nd grade, they were like, don't give us gifts. That's weird.
My 2nd grade, my teacher was Jewish, so that would have been weird. Also, 1st grade, maybe my teacher was Jewish. I keep trying to explore my memory to figure out if my 1st grade teacher wore a wig.
Oh, I've heard this one before.
I didn't notice it at all at the time, but looking back, I'm like, I think that must have been a wig. The way the curls were just so perfect. And it was also the color, the hair color was a plausible wig hair color. She also wore blouses with jumpers, and every day the jumper, American jumper, so like a dress that's meant to be worn over a shirt, not an English jumper, which is a sweater. A pinafore, to those of you in the UK. She wore jumpers with the alphabet on it or apples. Okay. She was playing a teacher in a cartoon.
Yeah, I see that. Well, if you're gonna do it, might as well do it right. If we did Libby's memory movie, would it just be Libby analyzing everybody's costumes through the various ages of her life? Is that what that would look like? Okay, I think I'm seeing the picture. Yeah, and in the evil fantasy sequence when the teacher is being mean
witch.
teacher, she's wearing some sort of 19th century garb. Why are 19th century teachers mean?
Oh, no. That's the good one. In the
right. You're right.
When
Sorry.
he gives her the fruit basket and he is fantasizing about how she's going to get an A+++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++ I think he was just sort of over dramatizing it. Victorians are very emotional.
Oh, that's just because she's has a bigger reaction.
Yes, and also I think Ralphie is sort of ranking himself with the likes of Tennyson and Wilde.
Oh, that's supposed to be literary people are from Victorian times.
Yes.
All right, I was really lost by that, so I appreciate your analysis. Then, okay, in the evil sequence, he's a witch, and his mom is a jester.
It kind of seemed like they just
jester?
grabbed whatever costume was going to be free.
I think for both the Victorian one and the jester one, they just were like, what do we have in the shop?
The Victorian one worked, and I think the witch one worked.
Which one worked? That one was very clear. From The Wizard of Oz, we saw that at the beginning of the movie.
And they did put on... I didn't recognize the teacher as being the same person, because she has these very thin 30s eyebrows. Congratulations to Teddy for being willing to pluck them. And then as the witch, they like paste on these huge eyebrows, which really changes the way your face looks. And I, only from context could I figure out that was the same person.
But why is the mom a jester? What's going on with that? Because she's laughing at him?
I think she's like the little minion associated with the witch. Jesters are little minions.
All right.
Normally not for witches, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure about all of this altogether.
I think they just like rented a certain block of costumes. They're like, take whatever you want from this block, and like, this is the one that fits the mom.
It did work. I think understand what they were going for.
Is there another costume you would have put her in?
I mean, ideally, she would have been a flying monkey.
Yeah.
I could only assume that was what they originally planned. I believe there was originally a flying monkey costume that did not materialize, and so we went with Jester. Okay. That would make so much sense.
I mean, that shot is
she could be another witch. Two witches. That would be
5 seconds long. I think 2 witches probably would have been the right strategy.
Better than witch and Jester,
Then they would have had to paint her skin green, and maybe they didn't have that kind of time.
Okay. She can be the unpainted witch. That would have been fine.
Also, neither of them had to be green.
Yeah, I think we would have gotten the bit. We saw the Wizard of Oz at the parade at the beginning. Also,
I mean, this is really a comment for our Wizard of Oz line, for our Wizard of Oz episode. But I'm not going to say no one ever did it.
Okay.
But it was not a standard thing for witches to have green skin before the Wizard of Oz.
Right.
That's
the bit.
Is it Warner Brothers? That was MGM. That was a MGM innovation.
Sure.
For the Technicolor.
That's right. This is also an MGM movie. Unsurprising that there's lots of Wizard of Oz in this.
Because they could get the rights.
That's right.
Was this all just a big fuck you to Disney? Like, ooh, look at how carelessly we can throw around Wizard of Oz iconography.
You would think if you were showing, let's say, 1940 shop window, that you would see a bunch of Pinocchio. Pinocchio was the big Christmas story.
You do see Snow White.
That's true. We see one Snow White. But she's in the parade, not in the shop window.
No, she is in the shop window.
Oh, she's in the shop window. Okay. So there's definitely, I think, some missing Disney merchandise that could have been plugged, but we don't need Disney.
I wonder if I had to pay Disney for the Snow White.
I think they kind of intentionally did a not very good job on the Snow White. It's clearly not an official Disney product, and I think that's not a coincidence. I wonder how much licensing and merchandising licensing was done in the 40s. I wonder how much knockoff Snow White merchandise there actually was, or was all that actually going back to Disney? Who knows? I think probably the best costume in the movie is on Dill, the sidekick, Scott's Billy sidekick, who's wearing a sort of 40s motorcycle gang outfit.
Of course, that's the one you like.
I thought that was great. I thought that was a really good costume. I think maybe Scott is wearing a sort of leather jacket underneath his coat, and then Dill is wearing a leather hat.
Yeah.
So my headcanon is that Scott gave Dill the leather hat and from his suit. And so that's how you know that they're paired. But I thought Dill looked super cool. But then, Scott
Scott's got his raccoon tail
Of course,
hat.
he couldn't. He's got that hat covered, so Dill can have the hat.
I think Scott had a really strong hat vision for himself, and then just didn't need his. Also, maybe he outgrew it. Because Dill's a lot smaller.
Dill is a lot smaller. I think Dill looks great, but yeah, I do kind of dress like that, so it checks out.
Yeah. You will not be surprised to learn that I love Miss Shields' 2 dresses.
Okay.
They're great.
I thought they were nice. Her first one is very loud, right? Sort of patterned and flowery.
I mean, they're both patterned.
Okay.
I think one is blue and one is peach. And I think she re-wears the blue one.
Okay, all right.
Those are the 2 outfits. Also, shout out to all those women doing the actual 30s and 40s thing of having bare legs in the winter. Boots, stockings, knee-length skirt, and then your calves just freeze.
Wait, I'm sorry. I apologize. Stockings don't cover your calves? Or you're just too thin?
I mean, it's not a warmth layer.
Okay, yeah, too thin. And they weren't allowed to do it in the 30s because they just didn't have enough cloth. And so we have to represent the Depression.
You can't wear pants.
Well, you can wear stockings. Thick stockings? No. It's big socks.
I guess some people did have thick stockings. I mean, no. I mean, if you look at photographs from the 30s and 40s, women are out there with, like, boots that are coming up, you know.
Why not wear an ankle-length wool skirt? Is that...
Not fashionable.
Not fashionable.
Also, like, fabric rationing.
Okay, yeah, fabric rationing, that totally checks out for sure.
I also want to talk about, at the very end, one thing that always surprises me is that he's so happy to have his gun at the very end, as he's sleeping, holding it. And they never acknowledge the fact that he basically did shoot his eye out.
I mean, I don't know what you want them to do to acknowledge it. We have a big scene about that.
I mean, I thought maybe he would be like, oh, I actually don't like this. It was really scary and it hurt.
Absolutely not. This is his chance to whatever. You already covered it all at the beginning of the podcast, but absolutely not.
The toxic masculinity did come to bite me in the ass, and I still love it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That I mean, again, to some extent, there are different interpretations of it from a ethical side, but that is kind of the point of the movie. That like you got to fight back. And even if it's painful and something bad happens, you got to keep fighting. The direct point in the movie is that you need your BB gun to do your fighting with. Got to kill those grizzly bears or whatever comes up. Maybe the most famous scene of the movie is the tongue stuck to the pole.
I think that is maybe the first scene I ever saw. I think like I was walking through a living room as someone was watching it, and I was like, "That's goofy as heck."
It's goofy as heck. It stands out. It's fun.
How do they do it? Because
there was a suction. They had a little suction thing inside the pole that was pulling his tongue in with air. Yes. I mean, I guess it's worth noting that, yes, you can stick your tongue to a pole, but it is very, very easy to get unstuck. You could, for example, spit on it. You could just pour warm water on it.
Around it.
Actually, you could open your mouth and breathe heavily, and even that will melt it. So if you do find yourself in that situation, do not freak out. It's very easy to get it off. Although you can injure your tongue in the process.
It did make me never want to lick really cold metal.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I had never...
Successful warning. I'd never heard of this before, but I was like, not doing that.
I'll try to avoid that. No, it checks out. Checks out.
Is that your favorite sequence? Do you have a favorite sequence?
Oh, my favorite sequence. I think... Well, my favorite sequence in the movie is when the mom comes to visit Randy when he's hiding underneath the table.
That is very good.
That's a great scene. And I feel...
Dad's gonna kill Ralphie.
Dad's gonna kill Ralphie. Do you want some milk? Okay. So that's really cute, and it's a really well shot scene. I really like the way they're framing it there. And I feel a certain kinship with Randy. I can identify.
The younger sibling.
I'm the younger sibling. My older brother does have a certain...
He does kind of look like Ralphie.
He looks a bit like Ralphie, and though he does not, certainly not the same person, he wants to be a hero. He has this heroic ambition, which I think I can feel some kinship to Randy's role in this story. My second favorite part, and maybe the part that I identified the most, is when Randy's mom, or their mom, is trying to convince him to eat his dinner. Because as we have discussed in the last episode of the podcast, I did not want to eat my dinner as a child, and I do want to take this opportunity to make very, very clear to the world that I hate meatloaf. That's the quote of the film for me when Randy looks at the right and
meatloaf,
and says,
meatloaf,
I
double meatloaf. I hate meatloaf.
I hate meatloaf. I truly hate it.
Do you know why you hate it, babe?
I don't know why I hate it.
It has ketchup in it.
Oh. It has ketchup in it?
Yes.
Oh, I remember they used
Or
to try to
possibly
make
just
me
on it, but
eat it, and
ketchup
it was
is
just
an integral part.
it's just I hate it. I hate it.
Meatloaf is a hamburger with ketchup in it. So, that's what's
Yeah,
going
you
on.
talked in the last episode about my food hang-ups and about how they are trained. And a fact of the matter is, a lot of my food hang-ups come from the fact that I do have dietary intolerances that I didn't understand as a child. And my family is not into the dietary intolerance thing. They are kind of a you got to get over it type of people. And so this is one of the major reasons why if I don't want to eat food, I have a really, really negative reaction to it. So I really identified with Randy in that moment. I was like, trying to make me eat meatloaf. The anger that really boils up inside me was very intense.
Did you get tricked into eating your meatloaf by demonstrating how picky you are?
I don't think that would have worked. On the I don't think I think I would have been too undignified for my parents. They were not gonna lose face just to get me to do what they wanted because they had other methods. But
they were just fine with you not eating.
For example. And I didn't eat dinner a lot of nights. A lot of nights I did not, and that was fine with me. That way I didn't have to eat meatloaf. And but I did really identify with that moment. I think that would have been a pretty good way to do it. I think Randy is misunderstood in this sense of Randy is a consummate performer. He is an artist. And the one thing that will inspire is like, I could inhabit the character of the pig. What a beautiful opportunity for performance. And a pig would eat all of this food. See, even just me describing to this, I do see, okay. All right, I'm the pig. Okay, that sounds kind of fun. So, again, I really identify with Randy. Even in that humiliating, embarrassing moment where everyone's laughing at him, I didn't do that, but
no one's laughing at him. I think his mom is laughing with him, and Dad and Ralphie are like, just trying not to look because they think it's disgusting.
I didn't do that, but I did do a lot of stuff like that. Where if somebody could sell it to me in a sort of artistic way where I can do a performance, you can kind of get me to do anything. I do feel a certain kinship with Randy, all things considered. I didn't whine as much as he did. Again, that wasn't really tolerated, or wasn't a good strategy in my household to go around whining all the time. But overall, I think I'm Randy. I think that's me. I'm in this movie. What's your favorite sequence in the film?
I like Oh Fudge and then the soap.
Okay. The shot of the soap embedded into Ralphie's mouth is very well.
I like the slow-mo Oh Fudge.
Okay, yeah.
And that is also immediately preceded by the mom and the two boys singing Jingle Bells very badly, going only for volume, not for musical quality, and Dad just rolling his eyes. So that's a good intro, and then we get, I think, our only slow-mo shot.
I guess so, sure.
Or at least our slowest slow-mo
That's
shot
right.
of Oh Fudge, and then hard cut to soap in the mouth.
The hard cut is great. That's
and also,
a really nice
Mom trying the soap and being like,
fun.
this is terrible.
That's fine.
All of those together. It's not a favorite moment, but that is my favorite sequence of them all working together to make a beautiful story about why you shouldn't curse. Although... Not a story about why you shouldn't curse.
Why you shouldn't curse in front of your mom.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason that I'm not so excited about that scene, although I do agree it's well made, is that I have been the hubcap person, and the terror of holding the hubcaps, especially if you're in the outside, if there's snow around, that really made me very, very nervous to have that job. I never had an incident, thank God, but I think it's a little bit too real for me to have fun with that.
Also,
slow-mo.
for the record, that is totally the dad's fault. He knocks the hubcap.
Well, probably if Ralphie had just kept his mouth shut, he wouldn't have gotten in that much trouble for it. I think you're right. I think that's unambiguously true.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that the old man goes and tells Mom that Ralphie said fuck, when the old man probably knows that Ralphie learned fuck from him.
Yeah, I think in that moment we're meant to believe that he doesn't know that. That he is...
He doesn't know that he says fuck around his sons.
I think the bit is supposed to be that he thinks that they don't really hear him when he's yelling in the furnace.
Okay, so we think he only says it during furnace time.
That's, I think, what we're meant to go for.
Okay.
But he clearly... I'm sure that's not the only time that he's supposed to have actually said it. So... I think they're playing a little bit with memory there, but I think he genuinely believes that it's not his fault.
Okay.
Because if he's smart, what he would have done is not tell the mom, because he's the person that's most likely to actually get in trouble for it. So I agree with you. I think that's fair.
Or does he just know that Ralphie won't snitch on him? As in fact, Ralphie does not.
Yeah. I think he just doesn't realize that he's going to get connected in. I think that's the easiest explanation.
I think what's going on is he doesn't realize how much his voice carries when he's down in the furnace. I think he doesn't think they can hear him.
Yes.
I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but there are many classic American Christmas moments in this film. However, one thing that is incorrect is having turkey for Christmas. As we all know, turkey is the Thanksgiving meat. The Christmas meat is ham. Turkey's not actually that good. So we all sort of fork it down with lots of butter at Thanksgiving. And then less than a month later, you don't want to be eating turkey again. You've barely gotten over your Thanksgiving turkey. You've barely cleaned out the leftovers.
Is turkey cheaper than ham? Is this supposed to be some sort of poverty thing?
I have no idea. I mean, turkey's very American. Ham is also pretty American.
Yeah, I wonder. I've heard the original radio telling of this story is in the Bumpus Hounds episode for Gene Shepard. I've heard that, and I can't remember if it was a ham originally. Maybe it was a ham originally. That's the best I got. But yeah, I guess a turkey is slightly easier to be disintegrated by dogs. A ham has some substance, structural integrity to it.
It's not hollow on the inside.
It's not hollow and divided into pieces, so maybe that's just easier with the dogs. But yeah, I think that's fair. Of course, you're posh. You have a goose at Christmas in your family.
Yeah, so historically amongst my family, ham was the Christmas Eve meat and goose was the Christmas meat. That extended 1 year past the life of my grandfather, who loved cooking and was very eager to get up every 20 minutes and baste the goose for 3 hours.
Wow.
Or maybe 4 hours, which is how you cook a goose. Yeah, my mom did that 1 year after he died, and then she was like, never again. I cannot be a slave to this goose. It doesn't taste that good. Although she actually does think it tastes very good, and she does miss the goose. So she has proposed a Christmas duck. Are you okay with Christmas duck this year?
I mean, the problem with the Christmas duck is that a duck's breast is not particularly large, and
I think she's gonna get a whole duck.
Okay, well then somebody else is going to have to eat the other half of the duck, and that leads to political conflicts. But that'll be one way to.
I think my mom is fine with dark meat.
Great.
I mean, goose is all dark meat.
Yes, I am aware of that.
Also, in case anyone is curious, lamb is the Easter meat. And I know some non-Christian people, not like atheists, do a secular Easter.
Sure.
And if I actually liked lamb, I might do a secular Easter. But no, I'm not going to get all excited for this.
Delicious.
Okay. Well, I'm so sorry, babe. If you want to do a secular Easter and you cook a lamb, go for it.
I don't want to do a secular Easter, but I'm happy to cook a lamb on another day.
Okay. Anything else about the film, or are we going to do more meal planning?
Well, I do think it was interesting thinking, I guess the biggest plot twist moment is when the mom breaks the lamp that he won as a prize.
I think that's very much broadcasted.
Oh, really?
I think the plot twist is when mom doesn't tell the old man about the fight.
That's true.
Actually, or when she does, but plays it down.
That is the big plot twist. Do you think that she definitely broke the lamp on purpose?
Yes.
Because I think the point is that
obviously
she was the one that actually figured out the answer to the puzzle. She told him that it was Victor. So then when she breaks it and he accuses her of being jealous of him because he's smart, the irony being that he didn't even come with the answer in the first place. Yeah, in the original TV version of this, it's played as like a mystery. Did she break it on purpose or did she not break it on purpose? But I do think the film really tries to imply that she broke it on
you see her, sinisterly filling up the watering pot for the plants, and then just so sedately walking over. And then she's giggling every time her husband isn't looking at her.
That's right.
When he's crying over the lamp.
In A Christmas Story...
Not a finger. Is one of my favorite lines.
You like that one?
Not a finger!
All he could get out was. I do think the cinematography really starts to pick up towards the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. There's some really, really nice shots. The shot of the two brothers sleeping and sort of waking up...
At the very end? Or
no,
on Christmas
not
Day?
that one. On Christmas Day. is really beautiful. And it's just a really great interior cinematography. The Christmas morning snow out the window shots, and then the one that really is at the very end, the mother and father sitting together looking at the snow outside the window. That's become a famous and acclaimed shot, and it really is very beautiful to look at. Do you think... One thing I've always been confused about is, did he break the glasses with the BB?
No, he steps on
them. Or
them.
does he step on them and break them?
You hear when he steps on them a crunching noise.
So if he just hadn't stepped on the glasses, everything would have been fine. So the real moral of the story is that BB guns are not dangerous. You just need to watch where you step, and everything will be okay after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the BB gun did have enough... I don't really understand this, but did have enough recoil to knock the glasses off his face?
I think it's supposed to be his jerking his head, when he is struck by the BB, and then he jerks his head in shock, and the glasses fall off when he is struck.
Okay.
The
BB ricochets? I thought that was recoil.
No. So the BB... I guess a safety note. If you do have a BB gun, one thing to please keep in mind is that BB gun pellets are round. They are not pointed like bullets. So BB guns, they will eagerly ricochet.
Okay.
And that's why if you're going to plank with your BB gun, you need to shoot in something you can shoot through, not against. You want it to land on the ground because it won't bounce. So he shoots the piece of paper he has up against the wall of the shed, and that is naturally just going to ricochet the BB right back at him. So yes, the BB ricochets off the shed, hits him. You can see he has the mark right below his eye. And then I think he jerks his head off. The glasses fall off, and then he steps on the glasses. So just don't step on the glasses. Just don't step on the glasses.
I mean, he would still have a cut on his face.
He could have played that out, but fine. He could have been fine.
You think Mom's that dumb?
I think it's way easier to come up with an excuse. He wouldn't have had to do the whole crying thing and the whole production of it. He could have just said, "Oh, an icicle fell," or whatever. He could have made it a lot less of a big deal. And even if he did get caught, okay,
I already have the gun. I mean, Mom can take it away.
That's true. This film is maybe the number one reason why I later chose not to wear glasses. Because I have distinctly imperfect vision, but I am nearsighted, and it's only a moderate issue, so I'm able to mostly live my life without too much trouble, because I couldn't see the board sometime in school, etc.
Then you went to homeschooling.
Then I went to problem solved there. Took online college classes. And so yeah, I can remember several times when people would go to the eye doctor and say, "Well, do you want to wear glasses? Maybe you could try wearing glasses." And I would think about this movie and that moment of the foot crunching the glass, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll figure it out. No, thank you.
I am 33. I've been wearing glasses since I was 9. I have never stepped on my glasses. I have never in any way broken a lens. Now, maybe modern glasses are made out of plastic. The lens is plastic, not glass. So I think it might be harder to break. I've definitely accidentally knocked my glasses on the floor.
Sure.
And occasionally the lens comes out, but then you can just pop it back in.
Yeah.
So I think this might have been a bigger problem in the mid-century.
Did you ever hide an injury from your parents to avoid trouble or anything like that?
No, flaunt the injury. Sympathy.
I see.
Maybe I won't have to go to school tomorrow.
You're so nice. You have it so easy, Libby. You got it so easy. But that's good. That's good. I don't think I ever hid an injury, but I did kind of try to one time. It was a more serious injury when I was pretty young. I was 4 years old or something, and my brother and I were playing around in our backyard where we had a wire fence that had some exposed wires, and my brother fell. Maybe I pushed him. I don't have any memory of pushing him, but maybe it's secretly my fault. Maybe I pushed him. I don't know.
If you were 4, he was 7, so that's. I'm not sure. It doesn't really check out. Mass calculation.
And my brother was so nice to me. We always got along great, so I wouldn't have had a particular reason to push him. But then he fell and impaled a wire directly through his whole hand. Jesus. And he was like, "Okay, David, you have to go tell Mom and Dad so I can get medical attention." And I refused to do it. I was like,
because you thought you would get in trouble for it?
Yes. I thought he would get in trouble for it.
Okay.
And so I was like, absolutely not. And he was like, "Well, I am wired to this fence. So what's your plan, David? How are you going to get us out of this?"
I guess I could stay here for the rest of my life.
And eventually he did convince me, okay, I guess I do have to go tell them. So I would have done anything to not have to go tell them.
Did he get in trouble?
No. Okay. I don't know. I don't really think so. Probably some.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe we weren't allowed to play by the wire fence anymore or something like that. Yeah, the Chinese food scene is difficult. It is really well shot. I think we have to be fair. That outside the store shot with that really strong framing, and the acting is great. And overall,
and Melinda's doing a great job because it is real.
I guess it's worth being clear that I think the joke about the duck and then being surprised by that, I think that is really funny and ultimately very wholesome. And it's a good joke about cultural differences. In China, people serve food with the head on. In America, we don't. And Americans think that's gross. And actually, Americans are being a bit silly about that. There's no reason why the head is gross and blah, blah, blah. So that's a funny joke. The horrible part is the carol singing and the joke just being Chinese people have an accent. Let's make them all really uncomfortable about that. That is something which I know for a fact that Chinese people really do not appreciate. This sequence did lead to me having this deep life ambition because, again, I'm very picky and I don't really like casseroles, etc., that are often served for Christmas. Where every year I had
Why are you serving a casserole at Christmas?
Because you
serve a ham.
Well, yeah, but then you have everyone's coming to visit, so everyone wants to bring a dish, and casseroles are easy to transport, so everybody brings a casserole.
I have developed the perfect menu.
You're the best.
None shall interfere with it.
That's not. I think my grandparents were happy for everybody to contribute.
Okay.
So I have the long, deep-seated fantasy of going to a Chinese restaurant on Christmas. Oh, that sounds so great.
That's what all my Jewish friends did.
It's kind of cool and countercultural and alternative, and I'm not actually that huge fan of this Jesus guy, so maybe we skip on that. And I love Chinese food, so I've still never done it. Never gone to a Chinese food on Christmas, but it is a deep-seated and long fantasy that I've had since I was 6 years old and saw this movie.
Okay, I'll see if I can make that work, but normally by dinner time on Christmas, I'm out of it.
Yeah, it's normally nothing happening. The goal is to not do the Christmas meal, so then you do Chinese food instead of the Christmas meal. That's the real. Then you've defeated society. Society wants to control you by forcing you to do a lot of work for a fancy meal that you don't really want. You just get Chinese food. People love Chinese food.
I mean, to me, Christmas is basically 1 p.m. on Christmas Eve to 1 p.m. on Christmas Day, and then it's nap time. So, I do a lot of work on the Christmas Eve meal, but I do no work on the Christmas Day meal. And if you wanted to drag me out to a Chinese restaurant, I wouldn't love it, but that would be acceptable. Maybe this is the year.
Maybe. I do sometimes worry because, of course, many Chinese people didn't come from China last week and may have American Christmas traditions that I am interrupting. So I wouldn't want to make anyone have a bad Christmas. But it sounds pretty great to me.
How do you feel about delivery?
Maybe that's a good compromise. Maybe Chinese delivery is a good compromise. I'd be up for it. You gotta have the big tip for your Chinese Christmas delivery. But that's fair enough. That is fair enough. Why do you think this movie has such a powerful shared tradition? Is it just the fact that it's
nostalgia and quotable?
And quotable. So it's well written. I guess it's a compliment to Gene Shepard, you're saying. Okay. Do you think that the episodic...
I regularly think I can't put my arms down. Whenever it is even a little bit relevant to the situation, I do hear in my brain, I can't put my arms down.
Yeah. I do want to make clear that it is Randy who says, I can't put my arms down. A lot of people are out there saying, remember that part in your Christmas story where Ralphie is wearing so much clothes that he can't put his arm down? That's not Ralphie, that's Randy. I do want to make that clear.
They probably could have given their children more different names.
Well, another reason that I can somewhat sympathize with this movie is that my name is David, but my brother's name is Daniel. So people are like, Ralphie and Randy, no one would ever name their two kids that similarly, but I can identify with this movie. They said they didn't do it on purpose. It was not intended to be a joke. They just weren't paying attention.
What is Gene's brother's name? Is it Randy?
It's a bit difficult to answer because... I doubt it. His name's not Ralphie. It's a bit difficult because a lot of the names, of course, from Gene's stories are not real people and are combinations. Does he not have a brother?
Or maybe he has multiple brothers.
I don't know. And in the TV movies, he often does not have a brother.
Interesting. Okay.
So I would not be shocked, but I would guess he does have a brother. That's my guess. I just don't want to hire a tiny kid to have to manage for the TV movies.
Okay.
That's I think the easiest explanation. He did have a real friend named Schwartz. You can go find him in the home in Indiana yearbook. So not all names were changed to protect the guilty. I guess Schwartz didn't actually say that word. He's not going down for this.
Well, he did dare Flick. He did a triple dog dare Flick to stick his tongue to the telephone pole.
Yeah, but no one told on him for that until Gene Shepard did, I guess.
I think the teacher knew.
Didn't know who did it.
She didn't have confirmation, and you can't punish based on a suspicion. But I think she could figure it out.
Why is she suspecting Flick and not Ralphie, per se?
She thought it was one of them.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
everyone else ran to look out the window when the girl pointed that Flick was outside.
You're right.
And they sat there sullenly. The teacher knows who is friends with who and who's kind of the bad kids. I figured this out as a substitute teacher when I was working with kids for 1 or 2 days. Yeah. And within 45 minutes, I know who the bad kids are.
Oh, yeah. Well, they like to make their presence known early.
Yeah.
That's part of their job.
Yeah.
It's part of the strategy. That's fair enough. Well, yeah, it sounds like my theory is that it was actually real life Gene Shepard, and he's trying to pin the blame on Flick.
Okay.
This is his chance to be like, I can't believe Flick dared him to do that.
Schwartz.
Yeah, just breathe on it, guys. Just breathe on it. It's gonna be okay.
Well, I hope you guys had fun with that because now it's all bummers. We were talking about The Long Day Closes. This is a 1992 film written and directed by Terrence Davies. It stars Lee McCormick as Bud, Marjorie Yates as Mother, Aisha Owens as his sister Helen, Ayse. I think that's Aisha, but I could not find a reliable source, so I'm sorry. We'll probably just call her Helen. Tina Malone as Edna, and Jimmy Wilde as her husband Curly.
So the title Long Day Closes comes from the song The Long Day Closes, with music by one Arthur Sullivan, which is a song about the bittersweet passing of time, and which is definitely a theme of this film. In fact, that might be the only theme of this film. Terrence Davies, from the beginning, said he wanted to make a movie that rejected conventional ideas about plot and story and was focused on the experience of recollection, as imperfect as that is. He said, it's not interesting to say that this happened, then that happened. When people remember, they remember the intensity of the moment and nothing else. The film was shot on a $3 million budget. That's all state funding via the British Film Institute.
So same amount of money as our last film?
Same amount of money as the last film. It was shot in London, not in Liverpool. This one does have a specific year that it's set in, from the middle of 1955 to the middle of 1956. And unlike The Christmas Story, the music of the film was typically played over the visual performances so that the actors were able to directly react to the musical cues that they were supposed to be responding to. Even the non-acted scenes. Probably the most famous part of this movie is the carpet shot, where towards the beginning of the movie, Bud is just sitting there being lonely, looking at the carpet in his bedroom, and there is an over 2-minute long sustain of just looking at a piece of carpet with absolutely nothing happening except light changing over it. So even this was timed exactly to match the musical cues.
What song was playing during that part?
Oh, I don't remember now.
That's probably important.
Maybe. Maybe that's the Mahler one, but I really don't know. I'll say I don't know. And a lot of individual pieces were meant to reference things from other artistic mediums. For example, the big shot we see at the beginning of the mother washing dishes at the sink is supposed to match Vermeer's The Milkmaid,
yes.
etc. And the visuals were sculpted to match the distorted experience of a child. A lot of the railings and walkways and stairs are actually twisted in an unnatural way or expanded in some arc that's meant to give this inaccurate visual impression that children have of things that are larger than them. Lee McCormick, the star, is not only a first-time actor here, he is a one-time actor here. This was the only film project that he's been involved in at all, and Terrence Davies very intentionally wanted to bring in somebody that had no acting experience. I guess similar to what we saw in The the Persian movie that we watched.
Where's the Friend's
Where's
House?
the Friend's House? Another one-time actor there.
No, he went in another film.
Oh, that's
with
true.
the
He
same
was
director.
he was briefly in the sequel. That's true. That's fair enough. There's also a documentary about a documentary that features his adult life a little bit. When the film was released, it was released at Cannes, and it was overall received very well. Got a 10-minute standing ovation. It was nominated for the Palme d'Or. It was received the, now I can't remember, but it might be the director's prize. But it was award-winning film there at Cannes, and it has since gone on to receive a lot of really fervent acclaim, especially from the British community. And it's not high up on the list, but it's gotten quite a few number one votes in the Sight and Sound poll. It's around spot 250 in the rankings, but that's still a very strong ranking. It also, from the time it was released, received some really negative reactions, even from very well-respected, artistically minded critics who basically said that it has no plot and was boring and was sort of self-serving and overly reverential to a very personal experience. And as a result, it has a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 83%, which I think accurately shows that it's acclaimed, but not universally. And it's not a well-known movie. It has a 7.3 rating on 4.4 thousand votes in IMDb, which is basically...
Is that the lowest?
No, that is not the lowest. Tea and Sympathy is the lowest with only
Really?
3.3 thousand votes. So
Okay.
more famous than Tea and Sympathy, but less famous than every other movie we've done.
Interesting. How did you hear about this movie?
How did I hear about this movie? Well, like I said, Terrence Davies' previous work, which are mostly not feature films. They're sort of 30 to 45 minute long short films. There's the Terrence Davies trilogy, Children, and then there's Madonna and Child, and then there's Death and Transfiguration, which are all very acclaimed short films. And, I think what's great about The Long Day Closing, for the most part, is its photography. There are some really, really well shot pictures. There's some great camera movement. It is extremely expressive, because that's the only thing carrying the film, basically. And his earlier films had more of a plot, more of a story, more dialogue.
Had you seen some of them?
I had seen some of them. And so I was familiar with his work. And yeah, he's also made several well-received films. We'd mentioned like The House of Mirth, the Edith Wharton adaptation, which I've seen. Are you an Edith Wharton fan?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Have you read The House of Mirth?
No.
Okay. All right, the other ones. And I had seen Benediction, shortly after that came out in 2022. So I was familiar with a lot of his other work, and this is one of his most... I've also seen Distant Voices, Still Lives, which again is very similar to this overall in style. Also features a lot of on-camera singing and recollections of the mid-century period. So I wasn't shocked by what I saw. And this film has been heavily analyzed. People bring it up all the time. And every time I had heard about it, I thought, so it's kind of like a Christmas story, but like super artsy. It's just like vignettes from the life of a boy. And then I heard there's something about Christmas because, of course, this is our holiday episode. And let's just make clear from the beginning that Christmas is in this movie.
There is a distinct Christmas
It's got
scene.
a distinct Christmas screen. They say, it's Christmas. So don't tell me that there's no Christmas in this movie. And they have a tree and everything. And I think that Happy Christmas, Bud is the shot of the film. And it's the shot of the film both because it's very beautiful and very arresting and very evocative, but it's not totally naturalistic. All the various members of his family all turn in unison and sort of robotically deliver Happy Christmas, Bud.
And they're having Christmas dinner outside in the snow.
I think they're in their kitchen. Then there's just snow behind them. But
I thought they were. I thought he was looking out the window to them outside.
So obviously it's not meant to imply that really happened, but that's how he remembers it. I remember it happening like this. Everyone just turned to me once and said, Happy Christmas, Bud. That's believable as a memory. And so I knew, I had heard a lot of analysis about it, both positive and negative. So, I was expecting for it to be dry. I mean, it's a very British production, I guess would be one kind of silly way to put it, and they definitely live up to those stereotypes. Well, I think...
Absolutely flaming the Brits right now.
They have a certain
They
style.
have boring movies, and this is what that was, so...
That is true. Those are
Okay.
accurate statements. I'm coming for you, Merchant and Ivory. And I think the film can.
You liked Morris. Shut up.
That's true. I did like Morris. Um, the film can really be defined. If someone's gonna watch this movie, tell them about again, over 2 minutes static shot on just a carpet. I promise you, there's nothing else going on there for over 2 minutes. And also, one thing I didn't get a chance to mention about A Christmas Story is how much I liked the closing credits in A Christmas Story. Mm-hmm. They're really pretty, with that bold red lettering being played over the snow falling in the background. And they're also really efficient. All the credits play in like 40 seconds. And it actually was really refreshing to be able to enjoy the credits as an artistic experience and not be like, well, I guess I have to go now and leave.
This is 6 minutes long, yeah.
Now, in The Long Day Closes, the opening credits are 3.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And again, they're a great way to introduce this movie to somebody because they are really interesting. First of all, they're very beautiful. It's sort of these scripted lettering over
not super legible, I will say, as a dyslexic.
No, highly stylized lettering over some nice music as we see this bowl of roses sitting on a table below it, and
very sort of chiaroscuro still life situation.
And as this 3.5 minute long opening credit sequence plays, the bowl of roses slowly withers. They're done in these soft fades that you would never notice, but over time they go from this fresh flowers to dying, and the table is littered with the petals and stuff. So that really is interesting cinematography, and I liked it kind of as a bit, and I found the design very attractive. But it's 3.5 minutes long, and
I also did not notice it because I was spending so much time trying to decipher the words.
Oh, you didn't notice the roses?
No, I mean I noticed that there were roses.
Okay.
I didn't know they were changing.
They were changing. That was
not dyslexic friendly.
That is a good point. That is a good point. It is not the most accessible sequence there. So yeah, it's actually really attractive and interesting, and obviously that does a lot to set the tone for the story and about the inevitable decay of the challenges that life presents to us. So interesting and attractive, but slow and it's boring. It's pretty boring. There's kind of no way around it. I mean, I think I appreciate how the author is really narrating with the camera, and that's an interesting idea to me. And my favorite part of cinema is how you can use camera work to express things without needing words, or even better than words. That camera can express things that words are not good at expressing. And I think Davies is exceptionally good at that. I think Davies is not good at telling stories, and he doesn't actually plan on telling a story. And you can make a movie that really tries to narrate with the camera and has effective dialogueless storytelling, and tell an interesting story. You could do both. And it seems like his intention was very much not to tell an interesting story. He didn't want to do that. And I like how I think we could kind of compare it a little bit there to the Florida Project. Mm-hmm. Another child's eye, first time actor, reliving of poverty experience. Now, of course, we talked about how the Florida Project, the first half kind of has no plot, and then they sort of try to fix it in the second half. But I think we could see it as a project that really leans into that aspect of a Florida Project.
Yeah. As we were watching it about halfway through, I said, I think the director had a playlist that he really liked. And he was like, no one will listen to my playlist, even though I've really thoughtfully curated it. So I will make this movie and trick them into listening to my playlist. Because there is music going on as a focus for basically the entire film. And he's sort of, a lot of it's music that I like, sort of a mix-up of mid-19th century classical music, Chopin, Liszt, Mahler, show tunes from Stage and Screen, and Anglican and Catholic church music, which is all very nice. And some of it is diegetic, and some of it is played over the scene. So if you, I'd be happy to listen to this playlist and go around doing something else, folding the laundry, as opposed to watching this film in which nothing happens.
Pictures of a sad boy while the music was playing.
I didn't need this really sad boy all the time.
I hear you. Terrence Davies needs a really sad boy at all times. Okay. If you watch much of his work, then you know he needs, that is a requirement.
Okay. Full-time sad boy.
Full-time sad boy. But yeah, Well, one thing I think is worth mentioning is that the film is not very long. It's 85 minutes long, and I think that was a good.
It felt a lot longer.
That was a good choice. In fact, several of even the positive reviews are like, yeah, and it's not 1 minute too long, because 1 minute more would have definitely been too much.
Yeah. In the first scene, we have this kind of long credit sequence, and I was like, I mean, you do have to legally credit all of the people who work on your film, so maybe he couldn't have made the credit sequence shorter. So
there's another credit sequence at the end.
Okay.
So no,
I thought maybe he was being vintage. So I was watching that, and I was like, this is a little bit too long. I'm ready to move on. And then we cut to rainy street.
Yep.
You can hear someone yelling Louis,
Yep.
which I only knew because of the subtitles. Otherwise, I'm like, ah. And Nat King Cole.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is also a little bit too long. And I was interpreting it as a mistake. Like, oh, we need to tighten up these scenes a bit. And I was like, no, this is not a mistake. This is the intention.
Yep. Yeah, it's an 85-minute movie, but there are 35 different musical pieces, many of which are played nearly in their entirety. So it's basically wall-to-wall music. And yeah, a lot of it is from cinema or from recordings. There's a lot of Meet Me in St. Louis at several points. And several of the... One thing that I really appreciate about the film is how deeply it's devoted to the idea of cinematic quotation and trying to use, because I love movies, trying to use movies to help you understand this story. And I wish more movies that did. I wish we were more open about our cinematic quotations. And, from Meet Me in St. Louis, we have the famous romantic over the banister kiss scene there, and that's really the figures match exactly to when Bud's older brother and his girlfriend have their kiss, and then close the door on Bud because Bud, he cannot access this world. This world is barred from him.
I think a lot of Judy Garland is not a mistake.
Yes.
Gay men love Judy Garland.
That's not entirely coincidental, is it? There's also a lot...
The song that he sings with his sister, We Would Walk Up the Avenue, but we haven't got a yacht, or that one doesn't... We would sail up the avenue, but we haven't got a yacht. That is from Easter Parade with Judy Garland and Fred Astaire.
Oh, I did not know that was also Judy Garland. So there really is a lot of Judy Garland in this movie.
There's a lot of Judy Garland.
A lot of Judy Garland. Okay, well, again, that's not a surprise, is it? Do you think... Is this a musical? Because it's wall-to-wall music, and characters are singing songs.
I think
that's how we deliver the story for whatever. Is this a musical? This is a musical movie?
I think this is maybe music. I mean, I think the music element definitely qualifies it for a musical. I think the thing that might disqualify it as being a musical is that it doesn't have a plot.
I see. You have to have a story to have a musical story?
Yeah, like a concert is not a musical. And even if people wear, evocative costumes, still not a musical.
Overall, maybe to your point, it's better to categorize this as a visual art project.
Yeah.
A music-heavy visual art project, rather than what we would traditionally think of as a film.
It's kind of a music video for a playlist of songs, not a single song.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. Is this a nostalgic movie? Is this nostalgic?
I think it was nostalgic for Terrence. I mean, I would like to ask a British person this. Like, obviously, Christmas Story is kind of nostalgic for me, but also, like, nostalgic for what I feel like I'm supposed to be nostalgic about.
I agree with you.
Because most of that is stuff that I have never experienced.
It's nostalgic for our parents' nostalgia.
Yeah.
We are reliving we remember our parents talking about how much they remember this stuff.
Yeah. So I'm interested if this is more nostalgic to a British person who might have had a life that was more like this.
Yeah, again, it's...
went to like an all-boys school where they hit you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of the movie. It comes up a lot. And in all of other Terrence Davies movies, they definitely like to emphasize that point. It is interesting, I guess, to try to remember again that this is supposed to be... Terrence Davies made this movie because people kept saying, well, we like your movies, Terrence. They're very artsy, but they're just so sad. It's just all sad and pain all the time. Didn't anything nice ever happen to you?
At one point, my family said it's Christmas.
Did anything nice ever happen to you? And so kind of the idea was he took all of his happiest childhood moments and put them into this movie. But yet we sit here describing it as wall-to-wall sad boy. So... It's supposed to be a happy movie.
It does seem like sometimes happy things are happening, but
yes.
Bud is still sad.
But Bud is still sad. Yeah. So, okay, it's a musical enough. And yeah, I mean...
There's enough music to be a musical. I just don't know if there's enough plot to be a musical.
I think the music is really interesting because it's both expressing the experience that we're supposed to appreciate, but also in kind of its way... it's like Bud is trying to communicate with us. This is, Bud does not appear to be the most articulate person. People often ask him questions and he's very slow to respond. He seems shy, I guess would be the best way to put it. And this is Bud, this is how he can, in his mind, if only he could open his mouth and a Judy Garland song would come out, it would be easy for him to communicate, but he can't do that. We also, music-wise, get a sample from Me and My Shadow, which of course is who did it better, are the real recording that we get to hear in this film or the Time Bandits?
100% Time Bandits.
Okay, all right.
Napoleon himself gave them a rave review. Little people hitting each other.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to hear the song, which of course I heard before, but I did think I kind of missed the one from the Time Bandits. Yeah. That one was kind of better. Well, I guess
they sort of turned it into a round accidentally in the second half.
So yeah, there is some fun stuff in there. We are trying at times to have fun. The character, our big comic relief is from the Edna and Curly, the couple who are sort of cutely bickering the whole time. And Edna has a bunch of fun lines where she says, "Cook, wash, clean. That's all I do. I never go anywhere. I'm like the bleeding prisoner of Zenda." And then when her kid says he's hungry and she says, "Oh, go eat someone." So it's quotable. You like the quotable aspect of A Christmas Story. I definitely think there's quotable moments in this one as well.
I mean, no one else has seen this movie, so...
I see. You can't share.
When you quote, "I can't put my arms down," or something like that, other people do know what you're talking about. If you say, "Go eat someone," no one's going to know that you're referencing this movie. They're going to think you're a weirdo.
That's a good point. Yeah, probably the...
I like the Carousel overture or prologue in there. I wish we had more. Started playing and I was like, I wish this was...
Should we just watch Carousel?
Maybe we could just keep going and then have this be Carousel.
That's a good point. Again, a very effectively chosen piece about other people who are feeling disconnected from their society and don't feel like they have a spot to fit in, which makes them really sad for their whole lives.
And then they go to a carnival.
That's right. I mean, I think the idea there being that, like, when Bud goes to the carnival... He doesn't really care about the carnival. He's like, "Oh, this is just like in Carousel. I love Carousel.
Maybe this is where I find my true love who hits me."
Yes, this should go really good. But, so, yeah, there are also some very unpleasant parts of the movie. If, for example, people keep hitting him, that's not very fun for him. It also has a very, very different than A Christmas Story, very much confronts the racism of the time. We have this very painful scene where... a black person shows up at his house trying to get directions, and he screams when he sees the black person, and his family is incredibly rude and insulting to this person who's just trying to get through his day, clearly.
And he's actually being very friendly.
And he's being very friendly and polite about it, extremely. Clearly he's afraid, and it's just trying to make him get it work. What do you think about this choice? Because we talked about how for A Christmas Story there's a good and a bad side to it, where it can be kind of a movie for everyone. It's not dramatic for some people, for everyone. But also, that's not an accurate portrayal of history. What we're seeing here in The Long Day Closes is a lot more accurate. How did you feel like the film handled that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's brave to portray your largely sympathetic main character as being explicitly racist, which maybe this wasn't the case in 1992, but certainly now is like the unforgivable crime. Like you can be mean in plenty of other ways, but if you're racist, you are a bad person, regardless of anything else going on. So I was surprised that it was in there. I was like, I definitely believe that is what would happen in 1956.
Yeah, I think overall I feel positively about it because they're going out...
You're not confused about whether it's bad or not.
They're going out of their way to show how ridiculous these people's behaviors are. And it's also, to be fair, it's not a long, indulgent experience. It's not torture porn or anything close to that.
It's 2 minutes max.
It's 2 minutes max. So I do think they did a good... I guess I also would say I applaud them for being honest and being like, yeah, this is what I was like as an 8-year-old. I was a really ignorant, hateful person, and that was bad. So it's unpleasant, but I think I agree with your conclusion. Yes, we both of us work as... We mentioned the outdated... school situation where they mainly hit the kids, and both of us are professional teachers, and so another part of the movie...
We teach online, so we can't hit our students.
That's right, problem solved. And a big part of the movie is how poorly delivered the educational
Yeah.
materials are, where the teacher is just reading things and you just write them down in a book, and that's how you learn. Just write down the literal words your teacher is reading to you.
I did have a history teacher like that, and it wasn't very fun. She did not hit us, and she was, sort of had a more friendly demeanor.
Yes, but that was her style.
But once you get down to it, she was like, here are the notes, copy out the notes as I read them. And also, as part of my dysgraphia, I have an unusual pen grip. So it's actually painful for me to write for long periods of time. So I was like, okay, 90 minutes of writing, then my hand's going to fall off.
Yeah. Well, I know, in part, because you did sometimes struggle with written materials, you consider yourself an expert at memorizing material that's delivered to you audio.
Yes, I do have very good auditory memory. That was just how I took notes in order to prompt the recording that I made in my brain of every lecture every professor did for the semester.
When they started the lecture in the movie, did that sort of trigger this sense? I'm curious, for example, if you could remember from the film what the 5 types of erosion are. Because that's repeated multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I remember is, like, this is probably mostly saying stuff about the rest of the film, how high the tension was in that scene. I was like, what is the 5th type of erosion? We've covered wind erosion and sea erosion. I'm not going to get them in the right order. I was like, what's the 5th kind? Okay. Wind, sea, rain. A lot of them seem like they maybe should have been grouped together.
Well, first of all,
wind, sea, rain, ocean. Let me know if have I doubled up on any of them?
Oh, you haven't doubled up.
Okay. Oh, those are all different ones.
Yes.
That he said.
Yes.
Wind, sea, ocean, river, and this is the last one, and I was just the tension was so high I couldn't focus. I don't remember.
Okay, well, you did pretty good. First of all, you would have definitely not passed this teacher's course, because each one you have to say the word erosion afterward. That's how they were. Wind, so it's river erosion, rain erosion.
Well, he is writing it at the same time as he's saying.
Wind erosion, marine erosion, and the 5th one, glacier erosion. Glacier erosion. So you got 80%. Okay. You're going to get a B minus. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Slap.
And 1 slap. That's probably about how it goes down. Do you have a favorite singer of this movie? Because I think we're maybe underselling just how much diegetic music there is in this. And not diegetic where he goes to a play and they see everything. Just, I guess, recounting the realistic fact that...
his mom is the main singer.
His mom is the main singer.
Yeah, she does a good job.
She does do a good job. She does do a good job. And I think she does a good job of not being a professional singer, but being a very entertaining still, and if you feel like it's somebody's mom singing to you, it really does sound like that. Yeah, a lot... I think the point is supposed to sort of let us maybe be nostalgic or remember or think about the fact that a long time ago they didn't have music that you could just play at a party. They didn't have that. So if you went to a party, you were singing, and that was kind of the main part of the party, is everyone would just sit around and sing songs together. Which sounds kind of nice, I guess.
I would go to a party where you just sing. We should do that.
I don't know. I don't know.
Someone else making the food?
I don't know.
It's really clear what you're supposed to... I think that's good for people with, like, social anxiety.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, which I think a lot of people have nowadays.
Sure.
You don't have to think about how am I going to talk to this person. You just have to come up with, like, 2 or 3 songs, and when it gets to your turn to recommend a song, you just start singing, hey, guys, this is the song.
And you can just sing, like, the chorus and then stop, honestly.
Yeah.
You don't even have to do the whole thing if you don't want to. That is a good point. That is a good point. Now that we have YouTube, like... You can just play YouTube, and then you don't have to do the singing.
This is not what I want my music listening experience to be. This is what I want my party experience to be.
How about a party where we all just sit quietly and listen to the music? Then we don't have to sing.
Listen to somebody else's music. So that's a concert.
Private concert.
I'm fine with people throwing private concerts in their home. I'm also fine with people hosting karaoke, but acapella karaoke.
Acapella karaoke. Fair enough.
That Italian-Japanese fusion we've been longing for.
That sounds like that's. I don't not think that should be the cuisine. We should be.
I did go to an Italian restaurant in Japan, and it was interesting.
Was it Italian?
Yeah, I got spag carbonara.
Okay.
It was creamier than I thought. It was more creamy than eggy. And they did immediately give me a fork. I think everyone was eating with forks. I don't think that was just
Okay.
because I was a white person.
Okay, that's fair. There's some really nice production design. I mentioned the door. There are a lot of shots of a door being closed on Bud, or Bud being on the other side of a fence, or Bud framed against a window while other people are on the other side of the window, like there is in the closing sequence. So there's very strong visual metaphor of, well, we've had a lot of movies which their primary visual metaphor are people being framed in doors and windows. And each time it's meant something different. In Nosferatu, we had it in the sense of the choice of going through or not going through, whereas in this one, it's about how you don't have a choice and you're barred because the door keeps being shut on you. So, I'm not sure exactly what to say about that. I guess people love doors. They come up a lot. That's fair enough. It's a very pretty door that they have. I really want to get that door with the glass and the patterning around the glass. It looks really nice. I looked. You cannot buy that door.
I'm sorry. I also really like the costumes. I thought the costumes were great.
Just because they were historically accurate, or more than that?
And also pretty.
Any ones in particular that stood out to you?
His sister's got a dress that's kind of chevron stripe going on. I like that one. It's mostly white with some chevron stripes. Very good.
Yeah, that's kind of the nice thing about a movie that is a lot about set of different parties that people go to, is you get to look at everybody's pretty party clothes. And that is definitely part of the movie.
One shot that was striking to me, because I was like, oh, this is why David decided to pair this with A Christmas Story, is pretty early on when Bud is at his old school.
Yeah.
Boring lecture, and he like sort of turns to, as it were, look out the window, but it's like rain breaks on him. It's, he is being rained on inside.
Yes.
Yea, verily, a metaphor.
Right.
I thought we were going to get more instances like that, of like clearly a fantasy sequence.
Yeah. I think it
was we undercommitted to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like I said, there's a lot of subtle stuff about that, like staircases that have an impossibly curvy shape, or buildings that are so much bigger than the building that's sitting next to them. But it's actually really subtle, where you're not necessarily going to notice it, and if they had
leaned... that's surrealism, not fantasy.
I think they're trying to show the distortions that a child has in their memory. And I guess maybe the reason we don't lean more into this fantastical elements is that that's not what his memory is like. I think Terrence Davies' perspective is like, guys, I'm trying to tell you what my memories are.
Okay, and why don't just you one time you got metaphorically
one time my memory metaphorically interpreted where it was raining on me when that didn't happen. But that's not all of my memories. That's rare. Most of my memories kind of make sense. I think Terrence Davies wants us to know what his memories are, and isn't that concerned if we're entertained by that. He just wants us to know what his memories are.
Okay,
he really does.
Well, success. I was not entertained.
Well, hopefully you know what his memories are. But no, I think I actually really agree with you. That, I mean, it kind of reminds me of what apparently somewhat controversially we mentioned in our Taxi Driver review, of that this is a movie that is proud of itself for its forward-thinking cinematography and innovative, fantastical imagery, but really rarely deploys it. And you would be able to...
And this also happened with Portrait of a Lady, where we got like three sort of interesting fantasy sequences early in the movie, and then forgot about it, and the rest of the movie was boring.
So, dear directors, including a fantasy sequence or two in your movie is not that innovative. Other movies have done it before. You could do a lot of them. That would be kind of innovative and cool. That sounds fun. But just like two of them isn't going to do it.
And also it kind of makes them not make sense. Like, just one fantasy sequence is weird. I mean, Peter Jackson does manage to make it work in fantastic Heavenly Creatures.
That's true. But that's not what... The film is actually pretty entertaining, accessible, and visually striking without that. Yeah. That's not what's supposed to be selling the film, so to speak. No, I think that's fair. Well, you know what movie does have a lot of fantasy sequences interspersed throughout the movie and was actually a huge success with audiences and critics alike? A Christmas Story. So, you know, you could do like...
they didn't even try hard on those fantasy
sequences. Yeah, they weren't really trying that hard, honestly.
Corny.
They were really corny, but they still did a great job to deliver it because they had a bunch of them and they stuck to the bit. In fact, there were actually more fantasy sequences that they filmed that just didn't come out well. There was one that was actually supposed to be pretty cool. There's some stills from it where he's Flash Gordon fighting in space with his gun. But yeah, people love those. And even though those aren't the most quotable part of the movie, that's not really the heart of the movie. They're what makes the movie entertaining and lets us have an experience.
As opposed to just some story about a boy.
Let's look at some suburban people for a while. They let us break that monotony. So yeah, I think there might be a connection to think about there. At the end of the movie, you said, "This is a very David movie."
Oh, yeah.
And I found this very surprising because I had not seen this movie. Apparently you thought I had seen it. I had not seen this movie. But it was also interesting to me because I use various film recommendation services that I tell them what movies I like, and they tell me what I might want to watch. And these services keep recommending The Long Day Closes for me. They've been very insistent about this for years, and I'm like, why? Why do you recommend this movie? So apparently everybody agrees that this is a very David movie.
Yeah. So it's when I said it's a very David movie, I didn't mean like I think this is your favorite movie. I meant this is a movie that David would be into that nobody else would be into. Like a lot of times we agree on movies and we both like them. I don't know if you like this film yet, so
this is not a review, that type of review podcast.
I am curious eventually for you to tell me. So the reason the things that make this a David movie to me are impressionistic and sad boy. I have watched a couple of impressionistic sad boy movies that I would never have watched by myself because you wanted to watch them, and I was like, well, I will also be here.
Fair enough.
Tree of Life, also impressionistic sad boy.
That's true. I'm a big fan of that one.
The depressing German one, the Thin White Line.
Oh, well, you're thinking of The White Ribbon.
Something like that.
The Thin Blue Red Line is a World War II movie, also by Terrence Malick, who made The Tree of Life. Yes. So you're connecting several pieces, but you're talking about The White Ribbon. That's
impressionistic sad boy.
Impressionistic sad boy. Fair enough. I like that. I like The White Ribbon. That's a dark movie, though. You don't watch it if you're not prepared to watch some dark stuff. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's well made. Well, okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know that I love this movie. I don't need 2 minutes on the carpet. I don't need that, honestly.
If every sequence was cut in half, was like tightened up a lot.
I think that would really work for me.
You like this as a 50-minute movie?
I think as a 45-minute movie, which again is what Terrence Davies, his real experience is in making 45-minute films, and I think it kind of shows here. Yeah, I could see that working. Well, like you, I really enjoyed all the music. A lot of its music I really like. There's a Doris Day song in there somewhere. Yes. And I can't remember which Doris Day song it is.
It's not T for Two.
No.
They go to see that movie. And we just hear that song while we look at the theater doors.
And this triggered a Doris Day thing in my head. Okay. And so my favorite Doris Day song is 7.5 Cents from the Pajama Cane. Okay. I'm a big fan of that song.
I actually really don't like Doris Day, but anyway.
Oh, sorry, Doris Day. I don't think she's a great singer. She's more of a yeller than a singer.
She's not a singer. She's not a great singer, and she's not a great actor, and they didn't cast her in particularly good movies.
This is, my point is, it's not a comment on Doris, but it did trigger me. So then, since watching this movie, I have listened to the song 7.5 Cents from the Pajama Game probably 50 times since then. It's just been running in my head constantly, so I've just been leaning into it. So, I really did like the music, and I really liked all the cinema quotations, and I am also a child that, by far, the highlight...
No.
Oh, our cat is being bad. We're doing the podcast and not paying attention to the cat. Okay. Nova. No, you can't be on there. You gotta move. You're being bad.
I was trying to turn her... She can be on there. I was just trying to turn her... I was trying to turn her heater on, and she hit me.
I know. Okay. We don't like the podcast. The podcast is bad. Anyway. So yeah, I really like the cinematic. I'm also a child who the highlight of my childhood was going to the cinema and of being free from the challenges of my economic and family life and not able to establish my own independent identity. And so I have some similarities there. And I really liked a lot of the cinematic quotations. There's a big focus is on Orson Welles' The Magnificent Ambersons, which is where we get the closing credit from. And the story, in the way, kind of matches The Magnificent Ambersons about, like, the boy who is forced to confront the realities of the world and grow up.
Wait, is Orson Welles a triple feature now? Or has he been on...
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, no, he wasn't in THX.
That's right.
If he had been, this would have been our third Orson Welles.
But I guess he's a double feature now.
Yes,
he's a double feature. Congratulations! Of course, I'm such a big Orson Welles fanboy that yes, I'm always happy when there's some Orson Welles content. I won't lie. And I love The Magnificent Ambersons. I absolutely adore that film. And I appreciated being. I'll only really emphasize at the end, being able to look back at the end, and be like, oh. It is kind of... The Magnificent Ambersons, also a story about a boy that faces bullying, although in The Magnificent Ambersons, he takes Ralphie's approach and beats up his bully. So we get to see how Terrence, or Bud, is not going to be doing that. He's going to be stuck under the bully's thumb forever. So I appreciated a lot of the cinematic quotations there. And I thought that the photography was great. You know, I like photography a bit more than you in the standard film.
It's very gray.
That's true. The best parts of the photography are
very
not very
desaturated.
Gray. The Happy Christmas Bud
Yeah.
is the exact opposite of that, and that's just beautiful to look at. It really is. Even you were going to say something.
I'm not going to call it saturated. I think once again, I think you're.
I didn't say saturated.
Oh, you implied saturated.
Okay, all right.
I think I want to make it very clear that is more colorful than the rest of the film, but to call it a highly saturated shot is ridiculous.
It's not saturated, but it is vibrant and warm. It is those things. But your point's fair. Even some of the drearier. I really like the opening shot where the camera is panning down in a very. I love those.
Rain.
And the rain shot panning down onto the window, and then while it's playing, we hear the quote. I can't remember what movie it's from some musical movie where we hear some loud drumming to help introduce the movie, and it's the 20th Century Fox intro, and then the quote from the film, the lady says, "Tap on the drum, just tap on it. You're not introducing a film because we are introducing a film." Ha ha ha! I love that. So there's a lot of pieces in here which I do think show really, really talented filmmaking. But I can't really say I enjoyed the movie. I can't say that.
Okay, great. It means I don't have to watch it again. So we watched Christmas Story, then The Long Day Closes. Right choice?
Yeah. I think The Long Day Closes might not make you want to watch another movie right now. Both because it is a bit boring, and because it's got so much cinematic quotation in it. It's kind of like a tenth of several different movies. And so I don't really feel like it leads into A Christmas Story. I mean, for what it's worth, A Long Day Closes is also made and set, for the most part, it seems like. The 1955 would be the last year for any events of A Christmas Story. So yeah, I think it's the right order. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I would also do it in this order. I just think you're not going to make it to A Christmas Story if you have to get there through The Long Day Closes. And if you fall asleep during Long Day Closes, that's fine.
Yeah, I think A Long Day Closes would be a great movie to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
Because don't worry, there is no plot. You didn't miss anything. I mean, the plot
and if you doze off for like 10 minutes and then kind of wake back up,
fine.
you're good.
Don't worry about it.
You're good.
Don't worry about it. The plot is, at the beginning of the movie, he's going to primary school, which is a feminine space run by nuns, and that's nice. Then he has to go to secondary school, which is a masculine place run by men who beat him.
Sadists.
And that's bad.
Yeah.
That's the plot of the movie. And also he likes the movies. If you know those things, then there's nothing you need to pay attention for. And it has a lot of nice music, some rain sounds. So it puts me to sleep, some rain sounds. So this would be a great movie to fall asleep to. So maybe watch Christmas Story at like 6 p.m.
And Christmas Story also ends on kind of a sleepy scene.
So watch Christmas Story at like 9 p.m. Or I guess depending on, we all have different sleep schedules. That wouldn't work for Libby. But watch Christmas Story 2 hours before you go to bed. And then on Christmas Eve. And then you can put on Long Day Closes to go to sleep too. Although you will have to listen to some children being beaten at several points in the film. So that might wake you up.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Next episode, you may have noticed that this episode released a little bit early in time so that it's coming out before Christmas. So on New Year's Eve, Dubbie's 2025 will be coming out.
Exciting.
We will be
giving out our yearly awards.
Yes, for the films that we watched this year.
And this is our chance to take a few additional shots at the Oscars, because they're not all the traditional Best Film, Best Director awards, but they're all the awards that we think the Oscars are missing. So we get to talk about, why don't we celebrate things like Best Cameo or Best Dancer in movies?
Yes, and if you listened last year, we do have a couple of new categories.
That's right.